shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday Mindshift, the clarity you've been craving, the shift you didn't know you needed. Hello, and good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. I'm Sean Michael, the identity disruptor and inner potential activator, here to share with you topics that will shift your mindset and start your week off right. And I see I forgot to shut something off. Let me hide that. We're not ready for that. So welcome, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here live. If you're watching the replay, I appreciate you too. And let's get started. All right. So today the title is The Identity Hangover. Why leveling up feels like losing yourself. Because growth doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it's a little like grief. Good morning, Dr. Marcia and Meryl. Thank you. All my nor'easters up there in New York, New Jersey. Good afternoon, actually, for you guys. So we all love and celebrate when we level up, right? The promotion, that new role, the launch. Like I know Dr. Marcia is celebrating a book launch recently. But there's a part that we don't talk about. Maybe you haven't heard of it. Is that, as I said before, growth and leveling up, sometimes it doesn't feel good. Sometimes it feels like something's wrong. Today, I will unpack, and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Christy, wherever you may be. I'm not sure where you're watching us from, but thank you for being here. Today, I'm going to unpack why success sometimes feels disorienting and how we're going to explore the grief of outgrowing the old versions of yourself. I'll also cover some ways that you can honor that loss while stepping into what's next. Now, let me just fix some stuff here. Francis Weller says it this way: every expansion of our being involves a necessary loss, right? In order for things to grow, there has to be some loss. So what does this hangover look like? You see, leveling up creates a disruption. Our old self and our new self. Tracy, happy Monday. Your old self and your new self collide. And you might feel some disorientation, like, who am I now? You might feel disconnection. Those old relationships. Good morning. Happy Monday, Sharon. Thank you for being here. Right? Old relationships might start to feel misaligned for you. And then the doubt. You have this new confidence being in this new level, but perhaps there's some doubt and hidden, maybe some imposter voices in your head. As I call them, the imposter monster. This is not a signal that you're failing. It's just your nervous system catching up to the new reality. Oh, and I forgot. I have slides again. All right, so let me catch up on the slides. All right, there's the disorientation. Or the hangover. Not signs of failure, they're signs of growth, of transformation, right? What are the symptoms of this hangover? You feel empty after the win. Maybe you feel some nostalgia for the old times. You might even feel smaller or lonelier in the new level. Martha Beck said it this way: every time you're tempted, a foot in each boat. Yeah, that's a good one, Sharon. Every time you're tempted to react the same old way, ask yourself, do you want to be a prisoner of the past or a pioneer of the future? All right. There's our symptom check. I got to catch up on these slides. So, the origin, where does this hangover, this identity hangover, come from? First of all, as we usually do, if you can, close your eyes and think back to a time when you leveled up. Could be a promotion, you moved to a new location, you launched something, you stepped into a new role. And think about, what's the old version of you that you had to get rid of, that had to die so your new version could live? Tia Christina, or Tia, sorry. What's the old version that has to go so your new version of you, your new identity can thrive in your new position, your new launch, your new home? And write this out if you get a chance. Yay, Felipe made it. And Calm, welcome. I agree, Leslie. I want to be the pioneer. Take some time and journal this. Write out the part of me I left behind was, and write out what is it you left behind. And then what I miss about this version. Lisa, welcome. And Liana, thank you for joining. Oops, we're not ready for that slide. Okay. So the part of me I left behind was, write that out. What I miss about that version of me is, write down what it is you're missing about that version. And the final one, what this new version needs from me is. I promise if you take the time to write this out, it will be very beneficial. Remember, grief is a natural part of being human. Whether it's losing a loved one, a cherished pet, anything, we are going to experience grief. And it's not a sign of weakness. It's actually evidence that you cared. You cared about the person, you cared about the pet, you cared about the old version of you, of who you were. And you're learning to be brave enough to let go. All right, Sharon, I will get to that question. When we are in between the old and the new, the void, the ego death, and new isn't formed, what do we do? Where's the playbook? We will get there. We will address that, Sharon. Promise. All right. Science time. Change in life rewires the neural pathways in our brain. And your brain actually mourns those lost patterns, even the dysfunctional ones. according to identity theory, our old roles die when the new ones form. We lose the familiar scripts, and this causes what we call identity dissonance. There's some psychological turbulence in our mind, in our brain. And according to polyvagal theory, newness is a threat, right? The brain goes, oh, wait a minute, danger, until it's proven safe. So your body interprets the change as danger first. Later, it can understand it as opportunity, but initially, it sees this change as dangerous, risky, scary, and your body acts appropriately. And Pinker, welcome. Because your nervous system doesn't know yet that your success is safe, that this new role is safe, that this new home is safe. It's why we feel that ache. I love this quote when I was doing this, looking this up, from Pema Chodron. I hope I didn't massacre her name too badly. Only to the extent that we expose ourselves to annihilation can that which is indestructible be found in us. Right? If we can't always stay safe, we don't know where our strength is. We can't know. We can't know what are the resilient parts, the indestructible parts of us. All right. As I said before, grief is not weakness. It's proof that you care deeply, that you're brave enough to go to the next level, to operate in this new zone. It's evidence that discomfort is evidence of your growth, of your courage. A lot of people never feel this because they don't experience that kind of growth. We tend to stay in our comfort zone, right? All right, so practice number 1 for today, the grief inventory. Honor the old. The old me was, right? The version of me I've outgrown was. What were the parts, the good parts of the old version of you? Number 2, express gratitude. Thank them. I need to thank that old version of me for, and write out what it is you're grateful for of that old version of yourself. And number 3, what will I carry forward? Chiedza, welcome. Yeah, it's like a bruise, Leslie, definitely. Sorry. Got a little scratchy throat lately. So, the version of me that I outgrew was, I'm grateful to that version of me because, or for, and what I will carry forward. Right? We don't have to scrap the whole old version. There are parts of it that we can carry forward into this new season. Because it's not about erasing who you were. It's about honoring all the parts and using that as your foundation as you move forward, as you grow, as you go to that next level. It's like the snake shedding his skin. As the slide says, growth looks uncomfortable because it is. Going to the gym is growth. It hurts initially, right? Uh-oh, I lost my second monitor. Initially, Going to the gym is uncomfortable, right? Sorry, technical difficulties. See if we can get it back. There we go. Okay, we're back. And remember, like, the snake doesn't simply shed his skin once gracefully, right? Usually, if you've actually seen the snake shedding his skin, they usually have to brush up against a hard rock or something. Imagine, like, if you had to brush against something to peel your skin off, that's not going to be comfortable. They rub against the branches, they rub against the rocks. Of course, it seems uncomfortable. It is. But without shedding its skin, it can't grow. And neither can you. So, what skin are you trying to shed right now, even though it hurts? I'll leave that one there. What skin are you shedding or trying to shed? Are you trying to shed, even if it hurts? Right? And as I said before, the snake doesn't shed his skin once. It's continuous process. Every time the snake grows, it has to shed the skin. It's the same with us. You're going to have skins that you have to continually shed if you're growing. It's not that we're broken, it's part of our becoming. All right. If you've been around, you know, one of my other practices is the two-chair dialogue. As I've said before, if you can do this with two actual chairs facing each other and you actually change positions, it's amplified. But you can do this and you can mentally rehearse this. Think of the first chair is your old self that's saying, I kept you safe. I gave you the tools, the identity to get you where you are today. That version of you is probably might be saying, without me, you wouldn't have gotten this far. Absolutely, Chiedza. It's important, it's good, it's not something to be afraid of. To just take a break, step back, practice stillness, spend some time with ourselves with no tech, no headphones, no phone, just time with ourselves, with our own thoughts to let things roll. Chair B is your emerging self, the version shedding the skin. Again, we express gratitude. Thank you. I will carry your lessons with me. But at this time or now, I need space to grow into who I am, who I'm becoming. And send love and thankfulness and everything to the old version of yourself in your words, in your energy. As we've said before, this isn't about chastising the old version or shaming the old version. It's gratitude and blessing and release it. So thank you. You taught me a lot. You helped me get to where I am today. I'm grateful. and then you can move on, let it go. And I'm going through these way too fast. Then practice 3 is anchoring in the new. The way to deal with this hangover is to build rituals with your new identity. Practice with write out 3 I am statements that are fitting for your current level, the new level, not the old level, the new level that you just went to. You might say something like, I am a leader who sets vision, not just executes. I am an entrepreneur who rests as boldly as I hustle. In response to Chiedza, that was perfect timing. The way we stabilize our identity doesn't come from thinking. Spending hours and hours and hours thinking about it is not the only thing. We need to do practice. So doing these I am statements, doing the 2-chair exercise helps us move forward to process through the grief of losing that old version of ourselves and move into this new version of ourselves. James Clear says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So who do you want to become? Zorar, let me look at Zorar's comment here. Shedding skin of separation, shedding skin of ego, shedding skin of certainty when truth is not paved. Okay, Zorar, I need more explanation. I don't quite understand what you're saying there. Thank you, Felipe. I aim to make it very educational. So the last step is the integration, the commitment to yourself, to who you're becoming. You can write this out. The part of me I'm grieving is, and write out, what's that old version of yourself that you're willing to, you're grieving, you lost it, it's gone. You're moving into a new season, a new level. And the part of me I'm ready to embrace. By naming these things, it helps us process through it instead of just thinking about it. This is the practice. So here's your 7-day experiment for this week. Each day, answer this or fill in this sentence. Today, I honored the old me by, you fill it in, and stepped into the new me by. And practice this every day. What is it? Beneath all the skin is light. Okay, Zorar, that makes sense. This is all about accepting the changing seasons. Rumi says, try to accept the changing seasons of your heart, even if you've never seen spring before. I love Rumi. And I think Zorar and I talked about that. Remember this. This is my reaffirmation. You're not broken for grieving, for feeling sad about this loss. You're brave because you're coming into this new level, right? The grief comes first before the freedom. And that emptiness after success isn't failure. It's just the grief of leaving that old version of yourself behind. All right, let me go back through the questions here. I'm going to switch here because that's my last slide. That's the end of the... All right, so Sharon's question. I say this, Sharon, that sometimes we need to sit in that middle space, right? We often rush into the next level, or we distract ourselves, right? Because it feels uncomfortable. So sitting in it, processing through it is step one. This void, the gap between completely letting go of the old, dealing with that ego death, the old self is burned away, new hasn't quite formed, right? It doesn't have a playbook. They often call this the liminal space, right? That transitory space. It doesn't have a playbook because you're writing it as you walk it. And as I said, don't try to rush clarity. Take the time. Those questions that come up are our nervous system looking for the safety, right? Your nervous system wants to keep you safe. That is the system. Anybody who's been in that liminal space and gotten to the other side, you notice that it's not like you wake up one day with a download. I'm like, okay, I got it. I'm clear. Let's go. It's slowly accumulated through living, through walking each step. One of the ways I've found through it, that middle space, is instead of looking for big strategies, what are the micro strategies? Instead of that 5-year plan, what's the 5-minute plan? What's the 5-day plan? You know, what are the things you can do, you can trust? You can brush your teeth. I know how to do that. I can go for a walk. I can take some time journaling, doing some breath work. These little anchors can help us stay in this space as we're moving forward little by little. And as we said before, part of it is naming it, right? We can't deny it. Name it. What are you feeling grief over? What is the part of you that's gone that you're letting go of, that you're like, I kind of like that part of me? It didn't serve me well, but I liked it. Like it got me to where I am. And okay, I'm back. One breath at a time. Borrow, use the mirrors around you, right? Surround yourself with people who can be your mirrors to help remind you of where what are your strengths? Where have you grown? What are the positive changes? What are the core truths about you that are still there? As we said, we're not trying to erase everything and start over. And I would say presence is progress. Right? Being present in the moments. So ask yourself, how did I stay present today? Were my actions, even if it was just one, were they aligned with truth? the real truth. All right. And there was another, let's see, Zerar had something great. I'm glad the metaphors worked well. I agree with Leslie, you know, being on this side of it and looking back at the screw ups and the rough patches, I appreciate the lessons I learned in those. While I was in them, they didn't feel so good. Initially, right after it, didn't like them. Took me time to get to be grateful for those detours. I'm going to put Chiedza's comment up. Her comment makes a very good point. Are you listening to the voices? Are you giving space for that, your intuition to speak to you? For spirit to speak to you? Whatever it is that speaks to you. You know, in Christian theology, it's the still small voice of the Spirit of God. Perhaps that's what's speaking to you. Maybe it's your intuition. Maybe call it the universe. But are you listening? Are you quieting the noise enough that you can hear what's being said? And often the best way to get there is practice stillness. Take a step back. As I said, I think I said it a few weeks ago, I took 14 days, I stopped making podcast episodes. And I was practicing time, like, okay, how is things working? Where do I want to be? What's going on with me? All of that. All righty. Click a couple magic buttons here. And this is the point. I will go ahead and open it up. If anybody wants to come up, make comments, share their ideas, their own journey of this identity hangover, that middle space where you're letting go of the old, you haven't moved into the new yet. Let's see, I got one more place to put this to make it easier. There we go. Yes. Very, very true, Sharon. Silence, stillness, solitude. Are you okay being with yourself? It's not something that a lot of us were taught to do, to be just okay in the silence and the solitude. But my own experience is it's life-changing. Swimming in quicksand, yeah. It can feel like swimming in quicksand, walking through the middle of the fire. But like I've seen and Miranda, welcome. Thank you for joining. Tony Robbins does the fire walk. He's quite famous for this fire walk. And the key is, in order to do it, you can't focus on the fact that you're walking on the coals. You got to focus on the goal, and you can walk across the coals. People are usually blown away that they did it, because it's kind of like in the movies, right? When somebody's up at height and what do they say? Don't look down. Of course, the problem is is whenever you tell someone don't, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Yeah, solitude. Exactly, Mark. Solitude is you can be alone with yourself. It doesn't mean you're lonely. I firmly believe loneliness is it starts with you're not comfortable being with yourself. And so we don't know how to let others in. Because I've heard of people talking about they're surrounded by people, but they feel lonely because people aren't present, they're unsettled in themselves. Yeah, solitude is powerful. As a married father of a 7-year-old, it can be a little tricky to find it. So I had to take some steps to find the space to be alone with myself. And initially, like anyone else, I was not comfortable with it. So I would just go for a walk and put my music on. But today, my morning walk is just me and the present space. No phone, no music, no nothing in it. It was huge. When I finally got to doing that, it was powerful. Well, if nobody's coming up, how do we practice solitude? I'd love to hear in the comments, what are your solitude practices? Or your questions around solitude, about practicing solitude, about being alone with yourself. Okay, I see Sharon's responding to Meryl. What Meryl say? Okay, I don't see what Meryl said. Is Meryl ghosting me? Because the last thing I see from Meryl is about slides. Invisibility cloaks are coming soon. Yeah, I've actually seen a few of those, but I'm still not sure they would work so well with a 7-year-old. Because I've been in a live event, a live conversation, and my son's trying to show me some game or something or ask me a question. I'm like, give me 5 minutes, give me 10 minutes. And like, he just keeps going. Exactly. Meditation. And I think some people, they hear meditation, they're like, oh, I can't do that. I can't stop thinking. That's actually a myth. Meditation is not about stopping your thoughts because that's not possible. You can't. You cannot just shut off your mind. I know as a man, I can go to my nothing box, but I can't stay there for too long. The thoughts will come. It's about not latching on to the thoughts, playing with the thoughts. It's kind of noticing the thoughts like the clouds drifting by. You can't grab a cloud. And I think it's very, like we said, micro doses, right? Don't sign up for a week-long silent retreat. I saw one of these when I was looking for retreats once. It was like a 5-day retreat where you like enter solitary confinement, like dark, soundproof. I was like, wait, 5 days? I'm like, I'm not ready for that. So start as small as like 5 minutes. Go outside in your garden, Find some place alone where you can take 5 minutes. Do a 5-minute meditation. Just be there with yourself, listening to your thoughts, but not, as I said, not grabbing a hold of them. Just kind of, oh, hello, there goes the thought. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, look at that one. Okay. Very, very powerful. Sharon Rose has the, yeah, lived experience is true. I'm not sure why it didn't come through, Meryl. I just know you said something about ghosting. That's the only reason I said it. I knew you wouldn't ghost. The garden, yeah. The garden, the my Sharon, my wife tries the toilet as her 5 minute solitude, or the bath. And my son's like right there. And depending on the music, calm, yes, that can be very powerful. I've actually used brain entrainment audio, like from the Monroe Institute or other platforms that actually help synchronize the hemispheres. Very calming, relaxing music. Some of my Christian friends and I, we used to do something called soaking, and we would just turn on some gentle music and turn out the lights, just light a few candles, and just everybody just kind of sat in their spot and just kind of was present with the music, thinking of their thoughts. It's very, very powerful. You can also interlink, like I think it was Atomic Habits. He talked about take a habit you already have, like morning coffee or your evening walk or hiding under the blanket from your toddlers, as Sharon shared. Practice, connect them with habits you already have. So, you're having your coffee, let it be your quiet container for solitude. So you're not feeling like you're entering the void intentionally. And solitude, at first, you will find it's quite loud. A lot of chatter, a lot of fears, random grocery items you forgot. Get this, just write out what comes in your head so you can, okay, I wrote it down and let it go. Remember this, we're not there to solve, to fix, right? To plan. We're just noticing. We can ask, what's alive in me right now? It's enough. And you're right, Colm. And, I've used Insight Timer. There's a lot of great meditations on there for free. There's so many options, and YouTube's full of different meditation music. I've even recorded one of my own meditations, although it's only available in my group. I haven't put anything out publicly yet. But yeah, as Calm says, there's different frequencies. There's solfeggio frequencies, classical music, if that's your jam. Not everybody likes classical. I used to love piano music. Didn't matter what the piano music was, but it was just piano, beautiful piano. When I was in the military, I remember listening to my piano music. If that works for you, that's a good start. I myself had to shift away from the music because usually the music I played on my walk was that, you know, heart pumping, motivational music that some of it even had the frequencies. Singing bowls are very powerful, right? And I know Insight Timer. Yeah, you got to test different things, calm, right? Because we're all different, 8 billion different people. What works for one will not necessarily work for others. So test it. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, test something else. Nicole, thank you for joining. All right. I was trying to get my. How do I know when I'm doing it right? Miranda, I think that's the trap we fall into is we start thinking maybe I'm not doing this right. I think the key thing is just to release and just be present with yourself. That's the key. Other than that, I don't, it's just being. Whatever helps you get there, that's right for you. I yeah, I think we get so worried about like what if I don't do it right? It's just letting go and like think of it this way, when we were small, very small, we didn't think about doing, we were hungry, we ate, we cried for food. We didn't we weren't caught up in all this. Am I doing it right? Just we're there. We were present. So I've found, just kind of coming back to me. Exactly, Sharon. Right? Because it worked yesterday doesn't mean it's going to work today. What's your state? Are you in the same state? Is the same circumstances happening? Probably not. So, yeah, I think that's the key. Yeah, let go and be. We get so caught up in do and have, and we can just be. And there's great freedom in just being, because I've found great freedom. It's kind of like the other one that's counterintuitive. Slow down to speed up. Oh wow, I gotta. Who is our magical mystery guest? Zarar.
Sean, and your sessions. It's like uh, you do you do it like brilliantly, Sean. You do everything amazing, and you always leave those what do you call that questions that one already found it. Let me find my that the ones we found the answers after going through it, and then you you keep on uh, You provoke them, you trigger them, so that we should ask those questions and we should show up. And I love this part of Shawn Michael
Well, and that's the
where,
way I see myself, Zurar, is like as a catalyst.
like a like someone who has been selected as a delegate on this earth.
Right. Like think of a match, right? You've got two compounds that can sit beside each other and do nothing. But you rub them against the side of the box, that's the catalyst that sparks the fire. So that's the way I see
Mm.
myself is I share my experience and what I've learned, and people go, "Oh, hmm, interesting. What about," like you said, it sparks the questions in their mind, the comments, the shift. Like that's always my, the insight or the shift. That's always what I'm looking to help people find is like, because if you shift the tiniest shift can move us to a whole new level and or location, right? Like a pilot in a plane. They don't make major changes in the course. They make tiny shifts. And the tiniest shift can make the difference between landing in New Delhi or Mumbai or even broader. Like it's insane. Like the tiniest mistake, the tiniest shift can change the trajectory immensely.
You said about let it go. You were saying, Sean, you were saying to, I think, somebody in the audience,
Mm-hmm.
and that reminded me of a story. I I was traveling with a friend from here to Islamabad, and we were waiting on the train station, and I saw a bag, a carry bag,
Mm-hmm.
and for some time I was like watching. I didn't see anyone claiming it. It was abundant, and I kept on watching for some time, and then one train it came and it went away. But I was waiting for my train, and the friend was sitting next to me, and I went to that bag and I asked people around. I touched that bag. Whose bag is that? Because now it was getting my concern. So nobody claimed it. And then later, I told the security people to have a check on that, but they said it's okay. And you know, we my train was there, so we went to the train, and for for next like 1 hour, I was trying to connect with my friend who was traveling with me. Like I was asking him different questions. Do you know about our trip? We are going to Islamabad. So I was asking him something about Islamabad, and he was staying quiet. He was quiet. He didn't answer me anything. He Until he busted out after like 2 hours. I waited. I was trying to connect with him, but he was not present at that moment. But like something is, he was like having grudges in his heart, and so it took me 2 hours. So he busted out. He said, "Why did you touch that bag? What if it was dangerous? What if somebody blamed you? What if? Why didn't you let it go?" I smiled. I smiled, and I said, "I let it go. I went there. I asked people. I told the security. I let it go, my friend. It's you who's was still holding it, and he was then he was then he became normal. Then he was like hugging me and
Right. And how often do we fall into that trap? Right. We're holding on, we're spinning it in our mind. Why did he do that? What's going on? Why? And like that person's already moved on. I heard a story like this. Um, somebody was hurt by something someone said or did, and the person who did it carried all this guilt and shame, and they kept replaying it in their head. And when they finally had the courage to go talk to that person and say, "Hey, I'm sorry. I hope you forgive me," and that person's like, um, "I already let it go."
then you in the starting was telling about the mirror, that to go in the mirror to see you in front of, like in the starting you were saying of this event about mirror.
The mirror, yeah. Well,
Can you remind that?
the mirror is the people that you surround yourself with, right? Because often we we're not seeing ourselves. We're not looking. We're blind to our behaviors, our thoughts, our actions. So having trusted mirrors around you who can speak up
Hmm.
in
So
an enriching way, an empowering way. I
I got you.
I remember many years ago, I was going through recovery and rebuilding my life from my own mistakes. And I had an accountability partner, and we had a standing agreement like, don't hold back. Like, be real, be honest with me, be truthful with me. No sugarcoating. As as AI says, no fluff. Don't
No.
give me any fluff. The only fluff I like is the marshmallow fluff. You spread it on your bread or cracker. Yeah, like, but the day, like, I was telling a story about not feeling respected, and we were talking about the difference between commanding respect and demanding respect. Right? Commanding respect is you're authentic. You're a person that people look at and like, wow, I have so much respect for Zarar. Right? He's so wise and he's so kind and giving. I have a lot of respect for him. That's commanding. Demanding and respect is like, you will respect my authority, as Cartman said in South Park. Anyway, my accountability partner, he goes, what I see right now is you're demanding respect. And I was like, oh, ow. I had asked for it, but even though I had asked for it and I thought I was ready for it, it still hurt. It was still like, oh, whew, like warn a guy. So yeah, having people around you, maybe your spouse, maybe a really good friend, a coach, a therapist, but people who aren't afraid to say, hey, I think you're going the wrong way. I actually had a friend, we were talking, him and his wife had split because she had had an emotional affair with her drum teachers. Right? So she was taking drum lessons and she fell in love with the drummer. They never did anything, but she had this emotional connection to him. And I was talking to him later, like they were, Miranda, yes, you could use a mirror, but if you don't have them around, look for them. They're so valuable. Like somebody, at least one trusted mirror. Anyway, I said, I kind of saw the, as they say, the writing on the wall that, you weren't being the best husband to your wife. And he looked at me, Zerar, and he's like, I really wish you would have said something when you noticed it. And that really, like, I was like, wow, okay. We're afraid to be honest with people because we're afraid we'll hurt them. And often we hurt them more by not speaking up,
But now speaking up.
by not speaking truth to them, right? We're like, oh, I
Yeah,
don't want to
you're right.
hurt their feelings, so I'm not going to tell them the truth. It's like the old question when the wife goes, does this make me look fat? And the husband goes,
He cannot speak
he
truth
doesn't want to
because
speak
he's
truth
going to.
because it's a sometimes it feels like a trap. Like he doesn't want to say something because he feels trapped. My wife said it to me. She's like, how did you let me get this way? She had gained a lot of weight, and she's like, why did you not tell me something? Why did you not say anything to me? So I learned, like, sometimes it's going to hurt, and you're going to, but you got to be honest. But as I said, you want it to be agreed, right? I'm not just going to go to you, Zarar, and be blatantly honest, brutally honest, unless we have an established agreement on how honest I'm going to be with you.
Yeah, Sean. Even for that, we have to do agreements in life.
Right. Well, agreements are powerful. Agreements are I think, key. Expectations are what gets us in trouble.
But being honest to an extent where somebody gets hurt, we can hurt their feelings unintentionally because they're asking us, how do I look like? Uh, my point is, there was a man. Um, a person, and he came to me. He said, "My children's, my wife, my the entire world I see is very selfish, and nobody is correct, nobody is right. My neighbors, they are very yellow and jealous." And I said, "Okay, let me tell you something." I told him, "Look, there is a small room with 1,000 mirrors, 1,000 mirrors in that small room. And there was one small little girl, for example, Zaina. She's sitting in front of me, my niece. She she went to that room, and when she went inside, she started playing. She saw thousands of Zaina around her, playing with her, and she used to clap, and those 1,000 shadows of her were like
Mm-hmm.
clapping. She considered that place to be one of the most happiest, beautiful place to visit. Then after some time, there was a man. He went there, and he was like, a little bit angry man. And he was an upset man, sad person. He went there, and when he saw himself in that room, he started fighting with his own shadows. And when he used to punch like that, and all those 1,000 people used to punch him. So he came with an opinion that this is the worst place I can ever go in life. So what we what we let out of us is the universe will somehow give it back to us. Like you said, the starting and the ending, and that middle part is where happiness, or whether you are being an angry person or person who's like wicked, arrogant, manipulator. So your frequency in that middle part matters.
Right. And spending the appropriate amount of time in that middle part is key. We tend to, especially in this modern hustle, rapid moving world, we tend to rush like, oh, I can't, okay, I'm done. Can't I be done with this middle space? Like, I'm ready to go to the next chapter. But the real learning takes place right there.
From where
Right.
we
The
are
thing
running.
we're trying to get out of as quickly as possible is where we're going to grow the most. And I learned this from a great teacher, that if you were to graph out your highs and lows of your life and then actually go back and evaluate it and look at where things seemed low, and then look what happened on the other side of that. And what he was illustrating is like, and you can, I did it with my life. I hit a low point, and then there's like 10, 20x growth on the other side of that.
Yeah.
So you're like, you go up here, you dip, you have a big growth, you dip, you have a big growth. Like that is where the movement happens. All right. And we're at the top of the hour. So, in respect for everybody's time, I will go ahead and say adieu with my usual spiel at the end. If you're feeling disoriented, like you don't have a mirror, you're kind of in the middle in that transitory space and you're not sure what to do, you realize today that you shouldn't rush out of it, that you need to spend the right amount of time there. Comment Hangover or send me a DM with Hangover and we'll have a conversation. Let's help you along your path of growth and learning. Zarar, thank you for coming on stage. You don't have to.
Thank you very much. You don't have to say thank you, Sean.
It's me. It's my
It's
gratitude,
always,
right?
you're like, brother, thank you.
Call,
I have to say you thank you to bringing me up on
and
the
Call
stage.
asked an interesting question. When you speak truth, are you manipulating people through manipulation of imagination of their perceived reality? That's a deep question. I might have to do a whole show on that, Calm,
Oh yes,
because that is very deep. And yes, some people
because
do use truth
let
to manipulate others. And
this word is how you
it's
perceive it.
perception,
This
it's
word
it's
is
how
how
you
you perceive it.
perceive it, and it's also the sender's, the speaker's intention.
It's not, yes, it's not what you see, how you see it. It's not how you judge. It's not what you judge, how you judge it. It's not how you
The
feel.
meaning,
It's not
it's the
what you feel,
meaning
how
you
you
give
feel
it,
it.
right? Your life is the
Yeah.
meaning you give to the stories you tell yourself. And I'll be honest, when I share truth, I am being manipulative. I'm manipulating you to be better, to go to your higher self. I'm going to straight out say it. Yes, like when I do my podcast and I'm being brutally honest, it's because I want to see people rise and to be happier, more fulfilled, and just enjoy their life more, right? Tragedy, pain, sorrow, it's going to happen. but let's try to make more, tilt the scale to the more of the joy and happiness and peace, freedom, and fulfillment. I was reading about that this morning. Anyway, thank you everyone for your comments, your interaction, and we'll see you next week. You can stay